And hello, can I start it again? That I got started wrong. Can I start again? Okay. In 3, 2, 1. And hello, everyone, and welcome to another edition of Conversations with Curtis. I'm Curtis Davenport, and we're just so glad to have you here and joining us this afternoon as we are experiencing, for the first time here at JazzArts Charlotte, something that we've been wanting to do for quite a while. And that is to have a reunion of sorts, have our JazzArts Charlotte Education Program alumni come and join us for a session today. All of the fine artists that you see with me on the platform this morning have all been a part of our past education programs at various parts, and we're just so glad to have them come back and join us today. So, just going through everybody we have sitting with me, directly to my right, we have guitarist Mr. Chris Chironi. Next to him, we have pianist, Sean Mason. Next to him, we have the trumpeter Braxton Bateman. Going on down there, we have bassist Stuart Carroll. All the way at the end, who's there? Okay, who's there? All right, had to make sure. Emmanuel Winter, violinist, is at the end. Then going to the back row, starting around there, we have trumpeter Ariel Mejia. Next to him, we have the OG of the group, trumpeter, saxophonist, pianist, Philip Howe. Next to him with the giggles is Elijah Freeman, saxophonist. And at the end, last but certainly not least, we have drummer Malcolm Charles. Yes, canola, yes. We're gonna talk about that as well, because some things, I need to at least learn about. So, gentlemen, welcome back. Glad to have you here with us today. So, I'm gonna talk a little bit about your experiences. First, since I identified Mr. Howe as the OG of the group, anybody else besides Philip, who else was in that first group with Philip? Stuart, were you part of that?
I was in the second group. I was in the first camp, jazz camp, summer. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I was like, because they had just started, and then as soon as they visited my middle school, which was Smith Academy of International Languages, which is now I think Waddell. Yeah, they did both. Lonnie, yeah. When they visited, that was when I was like, oh, I'm gonna check this out for the summer, and applied for the All-Star in the next couple months after that, and the rest is history. But yeah, I was in the second group.
Okay, but you've raised an interesting point there. They came to your middle school,
yes,
and something really resonated with you there. What was it, Stuart, that resonated with you?
I mean, for me, it was like always just love for music, and I feel like they had that in their hearts always, and that's always been, I think, the mission of Jazz Arts is just promoting that education and everything, and I was just always eager to learn and hungry. So I think for me, that was what was resonated the most.
Okay, thank you for that. And let's go back, since I had started out with our identified OG in the back row, Mr. Howe. Tell us a little bit about, you were a part of that first group.
Yeah.
So tell us a little bit about that.
Yeah, there were 5 of us in the beginning. It's me, Stevie Ray, Claire Lucas, Quinn Bannon, and Alex Sherman.
Okay.
It was just, showed up, there was an audition. My band director told me there was this group getting put together up in Charlotte, and I should go up and audition for it. And so I did. And I got in. And I was like, oh man, now I just get to play more.
Okay, so, but still, I guess I'll direct that same question to you. This was a new group. You didn't know much about them. They didn't have the reputation that JazzArts Charlotte or JazzArts Initiative, as it was at the time, has now. So what struck you about this opportunity, this group?
Really, I was looking for places to get in more reps. 'Cause I was already head first into trying to figure out this jazz stuff. And they're like, well, we meet every Sunday. I was like, great, that's one more day a week. I can get in here and just blow as many notes as I can, good and bad, and get a little bit of feedback from, I think it was Carl Ratcliffe at the time. But yeah, just an opportunity to play, get feedback, go home and practice during the week, come on back next Sunday and see how you did.
Along those same lines, we've got that line of questioning going. I'm not going to ask everybody, but I'll ask anybody who would want to comment on that. What about Jazz Arts Initiative, Jazz Arts Charlotte, what really resonated with you as young musicians that made you want to be a part of it? Yes, you passed the audition, but you had to, there had to be a yes coming from you. So what was it? And I'll let anybody who'd like to answer take that.
I say, speaking for myself, I went to Northwest School of art school, so obviously everybody is there for a reason of some sorts. But Jazz Arts just made it a lot more fine-tuned and paid a lot more attention to detail. So being that I was interested in jazz, and then going to the workshop and going to the first day of class, kind of being nervous, like, okay, I don't really know what to expect. And then you get there and it's 50 kids that also love jazz. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, they're in there. Me and Sean as a young kid was like dope for me. Me and Stuart, like all these people that were really passionate about what they actually loved doing was inspiration. So going in and knowing that we would all learn and grow together. These are the same people that we got licenses together, you know what I'm saying, all that type of stuff too as well over the years. So just being able to bond with people and build a community of like higher learning was just the best thing for me. And then just, you know what I'm saying, it was also accountability. Every week you just had to be accountable. And like the band, the faculty, they're gonna let you know like if you slip it, you fall. So that was it for me.
Yeah, go ahead.
Kind of going off of that from the opposite end, I went to high school over in Gaston County, where the music programs are not maybe as developed as some other schools around the area, so I just wasn't being challenged musically. So being over here with Jazz Arts really gave me stuff to work on. It gave me people to play with that also wanted to be challenged in that way. And like you said, accountability is a big thing as well for that. So.
Okay. Anybody else wants to? Yes, go ahead.
So kind of like how I got into Jazz Arts is like a weird story.
Okay.
So I lived here, but I moved to Texas. And when I was in Texas, if you've ever experienced like public school system there, it's really serious and really competitive. And it's the top 1% kind of thing of like music in like a regular school. And my band had the opportunity to go to essentially Ellington. And I was talking to one of our mentors for that. And he was like, well, since you're moving back to Charlotte, man, you really need to check out Jazz Arts. And when I came here, I went to the camp, I was like super worried about Charlotte in general. Because I was like, when I was here, there was no music going on at all in the school, on the school level. But coming here, seeing everybody at like this high level was like this wow factor kind of moment. I was like, oh crap, it's amazing that this is happening out here and everyone's together. And I was just like so excited to be a part of that. And that was kind of my experience.
Okay, so let me just make sure I understand. You moved back, you moved out to Texas and then moved back.
Yeah.
Mainly, or one of the influences was being a part of Jazz Arts.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
And women, right?
We'll talk about that, yes.
No further comment.
Yeah, no, there's going to be comment. No, yes, since we're on that, we're going down that tip, and when we have the attention, by the way, we'll make sure everybody knows that this is Elijah Freeman back there, making these comments. Yes, I remember there was one night when you were part of the All-Stars, and I bantered with the All-Stars as I usually do after they finish, and I asked, is it true? You know, going off of what Branford Marsalis had said, the reason he played saxophone and stopped playing the clarinet was because you can get women with a saxophone. Saxophone's got all the women. I asked young Mr. Freeman if that was true, and he unequivocally answered, yes. Oh. So, I will ask you now, once again, for recorded history. Is that still true? You've been playing, you've been out there for a number of years. Do you get more women than, say, Mr. Bateman on the trumpet? Oh. Or,
Absolutely not. No, Brack's got a saxophone of spirit in there. I'm locked in now, so, I'm just happy. I'm just happy and I'm at home with my girl.
Very wise answer. You have learned well, young grasshopper.
Let me answer for you.
Going to the OG. Going to Mr. Howe.
All right, so I was a trumpet player for a long time. it's not even close.
So,
Saxophone players get attention.
okay, more than trumpet players, you say?
Way more for me. I did not get that kind of attention playing trumpet. But as soon as I picked up the saxophone, it's all the time.
Wow. Wow. Life changed, okay.
I'm in a very happy state.
I love all this covering going on out here.
I don't see the women out here, but they know they're on tape.
Yeah, well, they know this will be seen, yes. So, Mr. Charles,
Yes.
ask you a question. First of all, that nickname that you have, cannoli seems to follow you, and most people seem to know you by that. Is there a suitable for public consumption story you can tell us on how that came about? I'm going to be careful here.
Around that time I was getting into production
Mhm.
more so than it was around like COVID time,
Okay.
and I wasn't really doing much playing. So I had to adjust to getting into production, and a lot of the producers that I was checking out, one of my favorites was Jay Dilla, and his very last album was Dilla's Donuts. So I made a song that was called Malcolm's Cannolis.
Okay.
But when everyone saw the title, they were like, "Is your name Cannoli?" And they were like, "Okay, that would be kind of cool if your name is Cannoli." So I was like,
And so it has stuck since.
"So it is stuff."
Okay. So how do you feel about cannolis as a dessert? Are they some of your favorites, or?
Not my favorite, but I've had some good ones, I've had some bad ones.
All right, we'll just leave that as that. Okay, so going on, talking about jazz arts experiences. A lot of you came, you had experience. Wait, no, before I even get to that, I'm going to get back to that one because Mr. Winter down at the end. Now, you're in an unusual position. I've been involved with jazz arts, not since the very beginning, but pretty close, getting on 13 years now. And so just ask, I've seen very few violinists come through the program. What in an instrument that in jazz has a storied place, but we don't see too many violinists in a program such as this. What drew you into the program?
Well, when I was in high school, I got my MP3 player and I was searching out music to listen to in my own free time. I didn't want to listen to the radio.
Okay.
And at that point in time, I was developing, my own taste in music, and I was listening to jazz and blues and all these other things, and I was like, I want to play that with my violin. But I didn't have any previous instruction in those genres. Usually when you play violin, it's like, okay, we're going to play like traditional, we're going to play Baroque tunes, we're going to play classical, everybody was answering this question, but for me, like, entering the program was an opportunity for me to like explore that. And that's why I was so excited about it. I think it really opened up the approach to like improvisation that I had no instruction in that prior to joining. So it really opened up a whole new world of music to me. So it wasn't really, when I first got into it, I didn't have any reference for string players playing jazz. I didn't know about Grappelli, I didn't know about Regina Carter, I didn't know about Stuff Smith. I know about them now,
Great Nance.
but yeah, it was kind of just jumping into an unknown thing for me. It was really exciting.
Okay, let's talk about, to all of you, and once again, we'll throw this out, doors that may have opened up for you. You got your start here, most of you, with jazz arts in some type of way. And then you stepped out into that big, bad, cold professional world outside of what it is we do here. Can anybody speak about a way that jazz arts and some of the lessons that you've learned here have helped to open up professional doors for you once you got out of here in Charlotte?
I would say really just being around all these guys, because like one of my most prominent times of playing, I was playing with my man Sean here, and I think around that time was when we kind of really like kind of honed in on the craft and really tried to perfect it, you know. So, and if it wasn't for JazzArts, that would have never happened.
Any others? Yes, go ahead.
Yeah.
We haven't heard much from you late.
Yeah, so for me, I think, I never actually had bass lessons until I went to music school, like college actually, but because of just the foundation, and you know, I feel like that's kind of like, again, going back to the mission of JazzArts, it just gives you so much good foundation that you build upon. And when I was in college and I did my audition for like my first ensemble and the bass teacher was there, he's like, you must have had like the best instruction, because like, you know, I just like, to them I was like, it's crazy, I did like so, you know, well and exceptional that, you know, he thought I had like such, you know, focused instruction, but really it was just JazzArts, really, you know, doing, I think I did, yeah, technically like 5 years, almost 6 technically, because I think the first camp was in 2009, so 6 years of JazzArts, just, I mean, I guess I'm a product of the, you know, the culture and what they do, so that to me was like, I was like, wow, you know, and I remember explicitly, like, at that first camp, one of the faculty's like, never forget where you came from, because that's where it really speaks volumes, you know.
And I feel like that contributed to the like learning experience that we got in the program, because yeah, we were learning tunes, yeah, we were learning to improvise, but we were also learning the history and where it came from, and like the pioneers that got us to where we got to. And I mean, you can take that and apply it to being a professional musician. I mean, you know, you should know the history. You should know, I use this analogy all the time, but like, you know, they tell you if you want to write better, you need to read more. Like, if you want to be a good musician, you need to listen more. And you need to be intentional about how you listen. Because you'll get a lot of gems that way.
Okay. Yeah,
I want to add.
Yeah, please.
Please, Mr. Big, Mr. Mason, be my honor.
Mason, I'm going to settle this now. Sean, you go first, then Braxton, because we haven't heard yet from Sean, so go ahead.
I'd add that JazzArts and in Charlotte, that culture of jazz, because everybody was talking about the artistic things, and I just wanted to bring up the culture of jazz, and the way that jazz breaks down cultural barriers, social barriers, and racial barriers. And growing up in Charlotte, at least in the time I grew up in it, it was very segregated, which I'd say is an exception, I think, to maybe Northwest, because it's an art school, where at least the school I went to, I was not experiencing the culture that I experienced in JazzArts. For example, I was in the same room as white people, which for me was a big thing, because I went to a school of primarily black people. And so to be put in that environment from a social perspective, and to see how the music breaks down those racial barriers in order for all of us to come into a certain common point, because we all love the music, and to see how that works was great. I remember in my specific group, all of us came from so many different cultural backgrounds, and there were so many times, and you know, we always talk about the artistic things, but there were so many times where we had to negotiate cultural barriers through the music with our specific groups. And I know Braxton and Malcolm and everybody that was in my group can remember when we had to negotiate how we're going to deal with, even on a basic level, communicating with each other, word to word, and how we can all come from these very diverse backgrounds and share our love for the music together and to grow. And I think I've grown so much. Regarding your original question about professional development, it started before I even was a professional, you know, in the actual music industry. Lonnie always put us on gigs, and so we would always play gigs. We would do gigs like right up the street at the Mint Museum. We would also do a lot of private events, and those are also opportunities of great learning.
of exposure, that somebody 15, 16, 17, or 18 just usually does not have the opportunity to be in those kind of spaces, like a gala or a private dinner at a corporate event. We used to play a lot of corporate events. And so culturally, I just wanted to speak on the cultural preparation that prepared me for my professional development, of the type of people that I was going to be socializing with in my professional career. And it gave me a head start to see a world that I did not know existed if I would have stayed in the bubble of school band. And same as Chris, I didn't come from a school with a very strong music program. We didn't even have a piano. We had a keyboard and a couple of the keys were broken. Wow. And so Jazz Arts really helped me to find that community with people and exposed me to a completely different, it gave me a head start to a culture and to really see firsthand the power of music to break down a lot of cultural barriers that we usually don't talk about and we kind of keep, you know, on the underground. But it showed me the power of music to break down those barriers, you know, just for a shared interest of the love of music. So I just wanted to speak on that.
We appreciate it. Thank you, Sean. Braxton, I know you had something to say on the same subject.
Oh yeah, pretty much piggybacking off what he said. You just have Jazz Arts created real world experience for us. You know what I'm saying? And especially as we got older, and the instructors being more so like family, you know, so they know who we are. And they'll just kind of call us out on things. So yeah, we're going to teach you the music, but we got this gig on Saturday, and I'm not even here. Y'all need to figure out what you're going to play, figure out how you're going to play it. You know what I'm saying? I just want to see this, and this. You know what I'm saying? So it was kind of special because we had to grow up and had to learn professionalism on hand. You know, so and we were in so many different bands around that time. We had a church band, we had our own band outside of Jazz Arts, we had the Jazz Arts band. So many different things. And when I look back at it, as time goes on, if you look at some of the best jazz musicians in the world, they have come through Jazz Arts. Like the young killers, in like Luther Allison, Veronica Leahy, Sean, Malcolm, Ariel, Elijah, everybody's like, you can put them anywhere in the world and they'll be able to hold their own. And that's something special. Like you look at the program, it's like, yeah, we were all in the same room as kids. You don't just get that anywhere. And they went out and Jazz Arts, like they sought this out. They sought out these amazing talents and these people that just wanted to be able to level up. You know what I'm saying? For real. So it's been dope, and they just have really created a safe place for people to just be better people, better musicians, better professionals all around.
Institutionalizing jazz is really difficult to do.
Yeah.
You know, because it wasn't a music that started in an institution. And so, you know, I just give nothing but praise and thanks to Jazz Arts because they were able to put the music in an educational setting that did not feel like an educational setting. And many of us went to music college here, and some people did. But coming from like music college to like UNCG all the way to the top of like a Juilliard, I can say that like Jazz Arts had it better than both of those institutions, because what those two institutions are missing are the cultural element, the spirit of jazz that you see when you go, even the trip we took to New Orleans, you know, that kind of thing, to see it from a first hand, the raw, unfiltered spirit of this music that's not institutionalized, that you learn on the presentation. And Lonnie always made it a point for us to feel that rawness of the music, that when you institutionalize the music, you can get such a watered down, unseasoned version of like what jazz is, what it represents, where it came from. And I just have nothing but respect for the fact that we were exposed at such a young age before college to very raw, unfiltered elements of this music that really prepared all of us for professional development and a professional career.
Okay, thank you, Sean. Let's talk about New Orleans, since you mentioned New Orleans. How many of you, just quick show of hands, got to New Orleans with Jazz Arts at one point in some of the trips? Okay. Any stories? Love to hear stories you can tell, things that you learned, people that you got to play with. And Ariel, I'm going to point that to you directly, A, because you were looking at me, and B, I haven't heard much from you yet, so I want to hear your voice.
That's all right. One of the most memorable experiences that we had in New Orleans, I just remember playing with Ellis Marsalis.
Yes.
I played with him at Snug Harbor, and I think it was Swinging at the Haven. It was played for one tune, and it was, at that moment, it was almost surreal because, you know, like we'd been exposed to all these great jazz musicians. It clicked. It was different. It wasn't just like the whatever mysticism behind any of this music was gone. It's just like these are real people playing real music, and that's what I'm here for. To be honest. Yeah, for sure. And it was, yeah, it just made me want to do more of this. So it's just really stuck with me from then. And of course a lot of memorable experiences since then. But I just, if you want to extend, because I know you were there the next year after.
When Michael Stever tried to kick Ellis Marsalis off the piano.
Wait, what?
That was a crazy time. No, yeah.
Oh boy.
No, that trip was kind of, for me, like, kind of as well. It was something really different. No, for real, because my like kind of like understanding of jazz and coming from jazz was a very different perspective.
Yeah.
Like as a kid, my dad loved jazz. He played sax, and like all I listened to was like Ornette Coleman and Grover Washington, and that was all I knew about
two different ends of the spectrum.
So like I didn't know anything about Carmel Square. I didn't know anything really about Buddy Bolden. I didn't know anything about New Orleans. And like going then there, it was like this other world, and I was like, there's a place where you play music like all the time, every day, and you could walk down the street and every other door is some different type of music. It was like, I need this forever.
That's what got to me.
Yeah.
That's what got to me about the fact that music is ingrained in the culture. It was like, I've never seen anything like that. Yeah, here for it.
You should walk down the street when the Saints game is going on. That city erupts. You don't have to.
Sounds like you got a story to tell, so go ahead, man.
You don't have to watch the game at all. You can just walk down the sidewalk. You know when the Saints scored. Because everywhere it's just. All right, Saints are up.
But yeah, but the rest of that trip, the crazy part of the trip was we left the hotel when we weren't supposed to. But it was super killer.
Lonnie, cover your ears.
It was a long time ago, so I can't be prosecuted for it now. Statutes of limitations have expired.
Maybe not. Depends on what crimes are committed. I don't know.
We went to this venue. I want to say it's the Spotted Cat.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. And so we met like the house band there, and we played, and it was like, you know, we got our asses kicked on impressions, and it was like an eye-opening experience. But then in January this year, when they did Gen, we went back, and it's the same thing, and they remembered us. They were like, oh yeah, y'all came to JazzArts like all those years ago. Like, oh, y'all sound good. Like, what y'all been up to? And it was like this full circle moment of like, oh, we kind of started here, and now we're back here. And it was like, I don't know how many people kind of get to have that experience if you don't have something like JazzArts.
Yeah.
You know, or the network that they have tapped us into is like, it's everybody. And then you realize like the family is like, it looks like we're everywhere, but it's really small. And everyone's a phone call away or a car ride or a plane, which is great.
Nice, but you didn't mention one thing. You said you went back in January. You went back to the Spotted Cat. Did you get on the stand and did they call impressions? So I'm gonna have this, you know, beautiful end to
They
this.
called Night in Tunisia.
Okay.
That was yeah. They did it like they did it like a fast like groove, like a samba.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, that was a great song. Good. Enough experience. That whole week was wild. Going back to Jen and going back to New Orleans and seeing everybody, getting to hang out with Ashley again, who we wouldn't have known unless we were in JazzArts. And getting to kind of play at Snug. And it was different because I hadn't been to Snug since before Ellis had passed. And seeing him there, seeing like the band that was playing and the house band going on, the energy felt different. And it was like, I'm so glad I was able to kind of be part of that little moment in history where I can say, oh yeah, it's like this is some of the most killers things you've ever heard in your life.
Yeah, that's a word.
Blazing.
Well, that works. So let's let's talk about teachers.
Oh, can I just add?
Yeah, no, please do. Go ahead. Go ahead.
We got introduced to a lot of different musicians through JazzArts. And
Okay.
he was mentioning that, but like Ellis, Delfeo, and the list goes on and on and on. And from those musicians, since their network is so big, we're then introduced to so many different musicians. And so pre-18 years old, that was incredible for me to meet Delph. And when I played with Delph, he really vibed me hard, you know, when I played with him at JazzArts, which was an incredible experience for me because I love to get my ass kicked. I love to learn about stuff, and now we're still close. And so that connection was made through JazzArts. And there was a picture on the screen yesterday of us playing at Oscars in the living room. So all of those kind of things was incredible. But the story I wanted to share was we went to a second line. Anybody else go to a second line? Yeah, we went to a nice second line, and as a teenager, that was an incredible thing for me to see, not growing up in New Orleans. And the energy was eclectic, as all second lines are. And I just remember vividly, and I never would get this image out of my head, of this older guy. He had to be in his 60s, clean, but Southern clean. So like light orange suit, you know, like Southern clean. And he was in a wheelchair and dancing like the whole time, you know, in his wheelchair, getting out of it, doing like this kind of thing, and like all kind of in the wheelchair. And I was like, man, this is exactly what the spirit of this music is about. And so I'm very, very thankful to JazzArts for showing me the second line culture, because nothing like that exists in Charlotte, with the exception of maybe marching band culture and like black culture that extends to an HBCU marching band culture, but that has it's not even close to a second line. But that really opened my eyes to see that second line. So New Orleans was great. That's it.
Appreciate that. Others on that note, just something you mentioned, the salon party that you had played with Delfeo over at Mr. Groom's house. Something I remember from that. I remember when you took your seat behind the piano when it came time for you to solo. Charles Craig, very fine pianist in his own right. Charles Craig got right over your shoulder. I mean, y'all were breathing the same oxygen, and he's watching every move of your fingers on the piano. And I'm saying, you know, this young man is holding up well under this pressure. You know, having someone, a respected pianist such as Mr. Craig, standing right over you, I guess had to have its own pressure in that. But I remember how well you appointed yourself on that. So
they used to just mess with me so much. They all used to mess with me. I laugh about it now, man. They used to mess with me. They used to vibe me on everything. But I guess they saw that I was serious about the music and wanted to make sure that I stayed on the right path. So I'm indebted to all of them. But yeah, he probably did stand right over my shoulder. He probably was saying something in my ear. And
couldn't hear that. But I do remember he was right over you, and I'm saying, man. So, you know, I was glad I wasn't you in that moment. But let's talk about teachers. We've gotten on the subject of teachers and lessons you've learned from them. This is an opportunity to talk about lessons that you've learned from some of the teachers, either formal or informal, that you had while you were with JazzArts, and some of the lessons you've learned from them, and give them some love and a shout out. Braxton, I think you want to be first.
Yeah, for sure. There's so many, I'm going to try and keep it short. There's so many great experiences from JazzArts. I have some that like just kind of always go back in my mind. The first like large group session that I had, we would do like your workshop, and then every 2 weeks it would be everybody in JazzArts to do a class, right? And since you were in these small workshops, the teachers were able to be very personal with you. So we had Dr. Michael Hackett, which is a trumpet teacher.
Yes.
He just, for like my first year at JazzArts, he was just like, yeah, before we do any of this jazz, you literally just have to learn how to play a trumpet. So we came here, he made me take my tuning slide out, and which means no notes are coming. Just getting this streamline of air. He was like, yeah, you got it, it's getting better. And then I met Mark Rapp. Mark Rapp, completely different approach. Mark Rapp, he had the same group session type setting. And he was like, sometimes when you're done practicing all the stuff that we teach you, he's like, just play what you feel. And this is the first time I was ever put on the spot. I'm like 14 years old. And he's like, yeah, you. Just play something like Choose an Emotion. Everybody do an emotion. like sad, play sad. And I'm like, all right, cool, let me try and really get into it. You know, and I'm playing, I'm like, whoa, did I just make myself sad? Like, did I just do that by playing? But that was eye-opening for me because painting pictures through emotions, through music, based off of these things that we're learning every week, I was like, oh, now it's starting to click for me. Then another moment we had, we learned how to count in 7, Lavelle Bradford, which was crazy. A lot of people in this room, we were in the room, and he was just like, all right, let's take a classic song, Footprints by Miles Davis. It made us march around the room. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 1, 2. Then we got back on our instruments, he was like, all right, now play the song like that. And it was cool. I kind of can't hear the regular version of it. It was kinda wild. And my favorite thing about all of these moments throughout the years is that, like I said, the faculty is like family to us. So we have Lonnie all the time, like I'm sure everybody can see it. Every workshop or every moment, just like a proud mom. Like for years, just always just there. Like every moment, she's just there. Like, you know. So I love that. So yeah. You know.
Speaking on Lonnie,
go ahead.
Speaking on Lonnie, and there was like one time we were in combo and we were kind of finding our way through like New Orleans music. We were doing like Bourbon Street Parade or something like that, and we weren't really getting the feel, and so you know, Lavelle was like, all right, just wait, I'm gonna go get Lonnie. And he went and got Lonnie, and he was like, we're gonna play it, and Lonnie's gonna dance the actual New Orleans second line. And when I tell you, Lonnie went off. It was crazy. That moment really stuck with me forever. Now every time I play New Orleans music, I always have the image of Lonnie dancing in my head now. So it's like, you know, and I've had the pleasure of playing second line in front of some like actual second line people, and it's like they're like, man, you have such a great feel, and I'm like, it's because I see Lonnie dancing. It was crazy. It was crazy. She's so light on her feet, man. It's crazy, yo. She's like a ninja.
Well, I've heard Lonnie called many things before. Ninja, that was the first one. First time I heard it was good. So go ahead. Others about teachers. I want you to give some love to teachers, yo. What you have? Any other stories?
I'll talk about like my very first experience when I auditioned for that camp with Carl Radcliffe. One of the, I think it's like the second question you asked, like what kind of like drew you in general, is just having that encouragement when you're like a nervous 12, 13-year-old. Like I'm very introverted, you know, awkward and stuff. So yeah, just having all that encouragement from, you know, and not only him but others too, but him in particular. I remember that, you know, audition. I was just talking about him, and like, because you know I went to a very like different school where they taught international languages and everybody's like fluent in a foreign language. So he's just like, man, you're just like a sponge, you know, you're just absorbing everything. And I remember just like that stuck with me to this day, you know, like, and that, you know, statement. So for me, it's just like a really like it's odd. Like I don't want to like sound like haughty or anything like that, but it was just a very warming experience to like be told that as a kid. But yeah, definitely that for me really has stayed with me to this day.
Okay.
Especially Carl and his smile.
Oh,
Carl's smile will make you
Sweetheart.
change your whole week.
Yeah.
For real.
What I really took away, I was only in JazzArts for one semester. I got in 2020, my senior year of high school, and then COVID hit. So that was cool. So I didn't get as much experience as these guys, but what I really took away from working with Lavelle is he tells you how it is. He doesn't sugarcoat it. He's not trying to tell you you sound good if you don't. He's going to be honest, and he's looking out for you. He's trying to make you the best musician that you can be. And that really prepared me a lot for college as well, because that's the way they are in music school, you know. You're paying money to go to school, and they want you to get as much out of it as you can, and they're going to tell you how it is. And Lavelle does that, and it's great.
To piggyback off of
Yeah, go ahead.
So I'm kind of like Chris. I only did 2 semesters in my senior year of high school, and I had never had a teacher like Lavelle in my life for that much of the time. Working with Lavelle felt like I was like with winning friends at Lincoln Center, like all the time. He was like, nope, that, and the thing that he taught me most was like at the end of the day, each tune and the tunes we're choosing to play have a shared language and a shared vernacular. And the only way these songs are going to sound right when everyone plays them together is if we're all on the same page of the vernacular that's going on. And I had never ever thought of it that way. I was like, well, you know, you got the scales and you got the chords, and then the chords go with the scales, and the lines go with the lines, and whatever. But he had us doing Backward Step by Nicholas Payne for like the whole semester. And I was like, why are we playing this so much? He was like, well, the melody is the whole solo. So you really need to know this melody, and you really need to know the solo. And we did that, and we never performed it. We never played this anywhere. This was just like a warm-up thing we would do every day. And I still hear that, like, all the time. He's with me all the time. He'll be, and I'm just like, without Lavelle, I never would have gotten that kind of understanding of the music. And then when I hear other musicians at a professional level, they're doing the exact thing he's talking about. They're working through this shared knowledge. And that's kind of like what I've always aspired to do with my musician friends, which is how we make good music happen.
Any others before we move on? Yes.
I want to piggyback that off that again, because he brought up such a good point about Lavelle. I was so grateful to have Lavelle as I was going out, like having him in those last year, because his philosophy and approach to music was so different than all the other faculty. Like, just approaching music, like, yeah, again, like you can approach music at that really micro level where you're breaking everything down technically. But I remember there was a quote when we were driving to rehearsal that Sean over here echoed, and he's like, when we were learning that Footprints in 7, he's like, in the end, it's all music. And I was like, wow, that just takes you all back. Like, because in the end, I mean, what is really the difference between jazz and other style, like rock, classical, all that? It's all music in the end. So taking it back to that holistic, you know, macro level is mind blowing. It's crazy. Like, so I'm just really, really thankful for being, like, getting that.
Experience.
Yeah.
Well, it's been good hearing about this from all of you. I've been talking a while. We've got a few more minutes, and we do have a few audience members, and I just want to find out if they have any questions. So I'll turn to our audience for questions. Yes, Mr. Grooms.
Yeah, so hey, listen, you guys make us all proud. I can tell you for sure, there's huge development. And when we saw you guys as all-stars to last night, not only in your musicianship, but in your poise and your confidence, even speaking. I mean, Sean, he approached the mic. He grabbed the mic from you, Curtis, and I'm like, and Ariel saying, wait a minute, it's a shy guy. I mean, you guys, your maturation has been phenomenal. So talk to us about what you guys have coming up, you know, going on. We know some of you cats have some albums and stuff going on, but what's in the future for you guys?
Anybody?
Yeah, go ahead, Chris. You open your mouth, so you go first.
Okay. I just got back from finishing up my bachelor's at North Texas. I'm settling in. I wasn't really a big part of the Charlotte music scene before I left, so I'm still kind of getting acquainted, and meeting all of these guys and playing with them is super sick. I'm really grateful to have this connection here. Really, I think in my time at UNT, I really kind of realized what it is I want to do musically. So I'm working on an album at this point, entirely self-produced, self-recorded for the most part. I've got a couple singles out. We don't talk about the first one.
Okay.
The second one came out a couple months ago. Yeah, I'm trying to do some mix of like the whole jazz fusion, progressive metal thing that's been going around. So yeah, check that out.
Okay. Good to hear. Good to know. Others, what's going on? Yes, go ahead.
To kind of go in a different direction, you know, there's so much you can do with music, and for me, I finished music school. I had the delight of finishing my college degree in 2020 as the pandemic hit. So immediately there was no really live music anywhere, and it was like shell shock to experience that. You know, I was just like, what do we do now? like what do I do? You know, because it was tough going through college. Like, that was really tough on me mentally because I never really properly took care of my own mental health, and it took like another year of that. And for me, I'm really grateful that I got to experience outpatient and experience music in a different setting, because I was always about music as a healing thing. Because for me, like, struggling with myself, you know, growing up, you know, like, that was like, music was always, you know, my therapy or like healing. And experienced the direct work of a music therapist, despite having music therapists, you know, colleagues and good friends in college, like actually experiencing the work of a music therapist, that was like that was like the light bulb where I was like, that's what I want to do. And I'm really grateful right now. I'm actually like, I'm grateful I still do gigging around town, but I'm very fortunate to be like a member of the state. Or not a member of the state, an employee of the state at a mental hospital in Tennessee. So for me, like, doing music is, I eventually want to go into music therapy, but like I'm working now in that other side of the field that's different from music, and eventually, like, I think both fields will, you know, coalesce to an extent. And I remember a conversation I had, I think, as a senior in high school with Lonnie, and she told me, she's like, you may not, you know, like, it's hard. It's like, for me, I was so anxious about moving away from Charlotte and stuff like that, but she's like, in X amount of years, you may not still be in Charlotte or Nashville or wherever, and that's okay. That's just where life takes you. But for me, I was remembering that, like, the whole way, you know, like, sometimes life takes you in different directions, and it's so important to, you know, embrace, you know, what you love and what's dear to you. And for me, that was music. So I'm really, really grateful that I'm still doing music, and I'm using it in a different way that's, you know, not just performing or whatever. Music's so powerful in that respect.
Who else?
Something I'm really grateful for is getting to be with this guy the past couple of years. And so we've been together working on things and going places and checking out different scenes in different cities, and like New York, New Orleans. And there was this like phenomenon that we experienced when we were in New Orleans, and someone came up to us like, "You guys just leave Jersey like just now?" It's like, no, we didn't know that was possible. Like, but just really, really great things, and that's just going back to a previous question.
Sure.
Something I took away from the JazzArts whole program is the solidifying of like the community, and the fact that all these guys are just like, you know, we're all just a phone call away, you know, and it's great. It's great, to be honest, and
To piggyback.
thanks for coming.
To piggyback, yeah. So me and him, I saw him a couple years ago. It had been years since I had been in JazzArts at that time, and he was playing this gig with this guy that we know in the area. And I was like, we need to play jazz, but we need to go write music and go record music and hopefully get enough traction to do shows, get out. And so we got this crazy opportunity, and we got to record at Rudy Van Gelder's studio.
Yes. Oh.
Yeah, so we recorded our first album. It's about 9 tracks. It's some nice stuff. This guy, right here, Sean, in January, we're all playing at the Middle C.
Oh, okay.
What?
Yeah.
Wait, what?
No, we're fine. Yeah, he's free that day. No,
You want to play a gig?
no, you're on the gig.
I'm on a gig with you.
Yeah.
Seems like it's
In
news to
January,
him.
in Middle C. So Tim Scott,
Let me
and
know
I'm
if you need
plugging Tim. I'm plugging Tim Scott on this.
Another one of my nephews, yeah.
Yeah, people we never would have met without JazzArts. So Tim Scott is a drummer, and he's been booking us crazy shows. And then I get a call that we're doing one at Middle C with his band and you. And we just kind of been living off of that. We've been living off of making music and doing cool shit wherever anyone will let us. And it's exciting. Don't have a date for the album. We're still in the mastering process. But once we get that done, we'll have it.
Now, I'm just going,
Thank you.
yeah, congratulations on that. Now, I'm just going to ask about this Middle C date. What is the date for those of us who might like to show up?
January 26th.
I'm sorry, what was that again?
Your people's got to get with our.
Yeah, you know, this cat's he's got people.
The manager's
got
gotta get together.
Mhm. So January, you said January the 26th?
Yeah.
And Mr. Mason, is that okay with you? Because we received a...
We're not doing it, we're not doing it.
Okay.
I'll be there, can't wait to play.
Oh, man.
See, we had some breaking news here, right in the middle of this this conversation. Anybody else before I... Yes, go ahead, Brax.
What was the
Doesn't matter, I'm gonna answer anyway, no matter what the question is.
What am I up to? Okay. For the past couple of years, I was working with the BB King's band, like blues band, like all-star band. So I've been able to travel. I've been able to, over the past like 5-6 years, I've been over like 30 countries. And that's just been something that's really inspiring to me, just seeing the culture, seeing the people, and just experiencing stuff, food, places, all that for myself. So one of my main goals is to use all of my different talents, production, trumpet, I play keys as well, all this different stuff, to try and get me and my friends and my family all over the world to see this stuff for ourselves. So I feel like that's the ultimate luxury. You know, we can have money, but the first thing we're going to do with that money is probably go somewhere. You know?
Yeah.
So it's like you can just get there, and I think that's the beautiful thing about what we do is we can all say that eventually we'll be going somewhere because of music. You know what I'm saying? As kids we were doing it because of JazzArts once again. You know, but so yeah, that's one of my goals, biggest goal: see the world, be in music.
Piggyback off of that.
Yeah, go ahead, Noel.
Yeah, I just recently went out the country for my first time, and that's what I'm continuing to do next year. I'm going to be going back like for a tour, and more recordings and more like production things out there. So, you know, just writing more music. Singing with these guys. Playing.
Just playing, doing stuff. Okay.
Hanging out.
All right. Just, vibing back here, keeping the cool vibe going, all right? Okay. All right. Other questions from the audience? Anything that's on people's mind that they want to ask? Lonnie, I'll ask, is there anything, even not a question, but anything you'd like to share or say?
Oh my goodness, you want to put me on the spot?
I am putting you on the spot, little sis. Yes.
I just have to say how much of a dream this is. Like, I'm pinching myself sitting here because to imagine all of you in the same place, but to actually see you guys all in the same place, and then sharing your experiences about something that was an idea, but for that idea to now not only have, become an actual thing, but for it to now have influenced lives in a real way. It's unbelievable because in my mind, like, it's just hard sometimes for me to step back and to realize what has come from the work, but you guys make it real, you make it actual. And although I've had all these experiences with each and every one of you, to hear you express and articulate what it's done and how it's impacted you over the years, it makes me feel like if nothing else comes out of JazzArts has done its job. Now we have lots more work to do, but I am forever fulfilled and grateful to have crossed paths with all of you, because it's been a labor of love. I was in your seats many years ago. We're not going to say how many. But a long time ago, I was a student just like you, and so I know how those things shape you. And so for us and for me to be a part of something that has contributed to your, who you are, I can't ask for anything more. So I'm just really appreciative and grateful. And thank you for, being advocates for the organization and for, paying it forward, because it doesn't stop with you. You know that, right? You guys, it's important that you take everything that you have and pass it along to, others, the next generation, in whatever way you see fit. All of you may not become educators, but you can still share information and, and have just empathy, patience, and humility, as you continue to grow. Take that with you, because that's what it's about. And I think all of you have that. And so I'm just proud of the people that you guys have become. And thank you.
And as we hasten to a close, so to speak, I just want to say in the same way that if you say Beetlejuice enough times, that Beetlejuice will materialize. Well, you said Lavelle Bradford enough times here. Like Beetlejuice, y'all mentioned all in a good way, brother. But you mentioned Lavelle Bradford enough times, and he just materialized in the room. So here he is as well. And so, well, Brother Bradford, you've been so many great words have been said about you and what you've done. As you get to hear this back, you'll get to hear some of them. But is there anything, I'll ask you also since you are here, anything that you would like to share or say?
Oh, man, I really like to ditto everything that Lonnie said. It's amazing to be able to inspire a soul, only to find out that they have re-inspired you even greater than your initial contribution. And that is the case with each and every one. Last night was inspiring. You guys made me want to go home and play some music. It was just beautiful to see. So thank you for redepositing into us older people part of the seed that we planted in you. So thank you so much.
And if you want to talk about the spirit of jazz.
Yes.
Like, Lavelle, he's not even, he just lives this. He lives that spirit. I didn't meet Lavelle through JazzArts. I met Lavelle at a place called Sullivan's Steakhouse.
Yes.
Where he had a gig on, what was it, Thursdays? And my college jazz band director, Phil Thompson, actually he passed away yesterday, so shout out to Phil. But he was like, if you want to go get some reps and hear some real jazz, go up to Sullivan's Steakhouse on Thursday. And so I did. Now, of course, I took my horn with me. And Lavelle never said no. No one was paying him to educate in that moment. They were paying him to play piano or drums at a steakhouse, but he still was like, all right. So he let me get my reps in for free. Because that's what it's about. When you see these younger cats come up and they're young and hungry, they want a piece of it. It's like, all right, come on in. We got a spot for you. And I think that's what JazzArts has done really well. Is, I was old. I was a senior in high school when it was my turn to be in it. But I had already gone out. I had sought out where the jazz was, and I had to go over here. I had to go to the Double Door. I had to go to Sullivan's. I had to go to, up in Nodab and Droves had a jam. I had to go where it all was. But what JazzArts did so well was they found what I had found and brought it all into one place. And it was a place that was safe for someone, in high school. Because high schoolers can't go out to the bar.
Yeah.
But we can bring the culture of that jazz in one place that's safe and they're looking out for it. So, thanks, Lonnie.
Oh, my goodness.
Shameless plug.
Yes, please.
Petra's on Monday nights.
Okay.
These guys know what I'm talking about.
Right. And so hopefully people out there will learn that as well. With that said, I think we will call our time together for a close. No one is going to see this before tonight's show, so I won't even plug that. But I will. But I'm looking forward to seeing and being a part of it. And I just want to thank all of you gentlemen, not only for being here and sharing and your transparency, but for the way that getting to watch all of you come up to grow and what you've learned and what you share now with the world about music that I've loved since well before any of you walk this earth. You give me inspiration and excitement for the future, and know that this music that we call jazz is in very good hands, in the hands of all of you as you go forward. So thank you for making that commitment. There's a lot of other types of music, a lot of types of things that you all could have done as musicians, but you chose the music as much as it chose you. So thank you all, and I just wish you all blessings and continued good fortune in all you do going forward. So thank you.
Curtis,
So,
thank you.
with that said, we'll call a close to another editions of Conversations with Curtis. Once again, I'm going to recognize everybody because I have names on cards. I'll be able to make sure I get everybody. Guitarist Chris Schiavone. Next to him, we have pianist Sean Mason. Braxton Bateman on trumpet, and apparently getting a lot of women from what they've written. Next to him, Stuart Caron on bass, Emmanuel Winter, our violinist, going around to the saxophonist, and Malcolm Connolly Charles, our drummer. So thank you all, gentlemen, for being with us. Thank you all once again. Thank you all who support this live music for continuing to support it. If you're not in the Charlotte area, find out, well, first of all, if you are, find out at thejazzarts.org about everything going on at the Jazz Room and what we have coming up. If you're not, do the work, find that music, support it, and keep it going. So, till the next time, Curtis Davenport saying thank you, God bless you, and keep swinging. So long, everybody.